Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to embed the web application that we have set up in the previous video into your Qualtrics workflow. And also, I will show you how to use the JavaScript functionalities of Qualtrics to capture the ID informations that the web application is sending to the Qualtrics and capture them in the embedded variables within Qualtrics so that you can link the data later. So first of all, the embedding part is very easy. All you need to do is to set up a text or graphic question. So here we have one of those questions. And then all you need to do is to go to the HTML view here on the top right part of the text editor. And once you are in the edit HTML view, we have the code for this purpose in our EC. Just copy it here. Make sure you get rid of all the spaces if you copy from a PDF. All you need to do is to replace the SRC with your URL for your web application and then hit save. There you have the web application built into this question. To allow the cross-domain communication between this embedded web application, this chatbot, and your Qualtrics survey, we need to set up the embedded variables in Qualtrics to receive the information that we are capturing. And we also need to set up the message handlers with the JavaScript functionalities in Qualtrics to enable this kind of message capturing from the web application to Qualtrics survey. So first of all, we set up the embedded variables. This is very easy. We go to survey flow, and here is a variable. We call it chat session A ID that we're going to use to capture the session ID from this particular chatbot. So we have another one for a different chatbot that we're going to use for test two, right? Because we have two tests for the prototypical task. And we also have two chatbot times, so these will capture the launch time for the web application, so that we also save to the launch data. To go back to the question, we want to use the JavaScript functionalities, make sure that this is available under the question behavior. So we click on this button and go into the panel for the edit question JavaScript. So here we're doing just a few things. First of all, we record a timestamp immediately upon loading this message. So we use the Qualtrics survey engine set embedded data. Essentially, we save this arrival time, which is when the app launches, into the chatbot time embedded variable. Right. So the second thing that we do is we define this message handler function with a window dot add event listener API. So what we're saying here is that we specifically look for messages that comes from the embedded web applications that starts with ID task A, because sometimes you could have multiple web applications that are active and they're all sending messages. So you want the listener to be specific in their listening, and you want the sender of the message, which is the web application in our case, to be specific about the message that it's sending. So we have this kind of text strings to mark the messages. And then what we're saying is that we're going to listen for the message that starts with this, and we're going to save it to the chat session A ID embedded variable that we have just set up in the survey flow. And then we disengage this message handler once this page is done and people move on. And the last thing that we do here on this survey page, we not only have the web application, we have the description of the task, but we also have the choices. So this is essentially, what is your preference? Do you choose A? Do you choose B? So this is the task bar. And we really need to make sure that the participant answer the question. So what we do here is we actually gray out this next button so that the survey cannot progress unless someone has filled in the question here. The reason that we do it here, so let's save this. Instead of using the response requirement, this is actually quite important, is that if we use an add validation and force a response, it would actually force the response. But what happens is if someone failed to fill in the question and they press the next button, what Qualtrics does is that it resets the whole page. And by doing so, it also resets the web application. It resets the conversation history. So the person has to start again with a reset it bot. And we really do not want to do that. We want to avoid that. That's why we do it in a different way by adding this part of the code into the JavaScript. What we're saying is that the next button is disabled until there's at least one question being answered. And that is all.